Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I am back with another reaction, the final reaction to Krypton for the season. It is episode 10, the finale, which is called The Phantom Zone. I'm finally here, guys. I finally have finished this up. So, last episode, oh my goodness, it's been a minute since I watched the last episode, but things were kind of getting a bit crazy as far as what to do about the whole Brainiac situation. Brainiac, his emissary was taken out by the group. They managed to, at least they thought they had taken him out, but Zod was smart enough to figure out that, actually, no. Actually, you need to find his body, and sure, he's dead, because, you know, very good chance that homies might still be alive, or we don't even know what this thing is, and obviously, him being from the future, he probably knows that Brainiac and his emissaries are not that easy to kill. But beyond that, we saw that the emissary was not dead. In fact, he rebuilt himself into some kind of crazy Terminator looking like machine. Brainiac is definitely on his way to Kandor, and he's a little ticked. You know, he's a little ticked that Seg, this seemingly inferior creature, is stood in his way to do what he wanted to do so easily. So I'm really hoping that we're gonna get more about what happened to Adam and what was going on, because that looks really, really interesting. Anyway, we're on the finale. It's called The Phantom Zone. We know from the movies and the comics that this is where General Zod was banished to for God knows how long by Jor-El and the Council on Krypton, and I'm wondering if this means that we're going to see a reappearance of it, and if so, who's going? Is it going to be Zod again? Who knows? Let's jump into this episode, because I'm very eager to get into it and talk about this whole season. All right, let's boot. Here comes the ship! Holy, it's like the entire size of the city. Oh no, it's significantly bigger than the city. My bad.
There.
He says accusingly.
Wait, where's Jaina?
Yeah.
She went off somewhere in the catacombs. What did you do to her? I didn't do anything to her. We are going to bring back your grandfather.
I don't like any of this. I don't trust Zod. I don't trust him at all. And this is hard because he's been telling the truth pretty much the entire time, but I still just don't trust him.
In a better tomorrow.
Grandpa!
Oh!
I love you!
Grandpa has secrets. Okay, Gramps.
Grandpa!
Traumatic.
Grandpa!
It's okay, he's got a red cape. He'll be fine.
Into the Phantom Zone, a dimension that exists outside the normal space-time continuum.
Oh!
Because I was trapped in there with him. Because the council that convicted me was as corrupt as the one that condemned Val.
No.
That
not
doesn't
true.
make sense.
It was his only way out.
So you
You
stole,
stole
it.
it.
You betrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
Who better to stop Brainiac? A frail old man or a general?
There we go.
Such a mission required a Zod, not an L.
You are an L! Oh my god.
Engaging the Phantom Projector.
Like, poor Seg's like, dude, you could have told me about the Phantom Projector before? Rude. Well, this is gonna leave everybody feeling awful awkward.
You think I wouldn't recognize my own grandson?
Not sure what's going on in your mind, old man. It's been a while!
I am proud of the man you have become.
Should we talk about the fact that his parents are dead? When's a good time? Sup, other me? Oh, you.
And you.
We will
Technically your great-grandson.
There is no way to stop Brainiac.
It's true. Now, put me back in the Phantom Zone. I don't want to be around for this mess. Peace. Poor Dev. He's probably got, like, so much PTSD right now. Oh, sweet. I mean, if you gotta lose an arm.
Of your eternal life.
That doesn't seem like eternal life to me, bro. I'm good. We're good. Yeah, she had the right response. Oh, okay. So it just kind of picks it up like a big old claw.
Nothing near the truth of what it means to be a part of Brainiac's collection.
What do you mean?
Story time!
Conservationist of sorts.
Well, what that really means is that in order to perfectly preserve his cities, those inside remain rooted to the spot. Immobile.
That's where it went? Ladies, behave. Not the time. And can we rise above this? Seg's not that much of a prize.
You promised me there would always be a better tomorrow. And as hard as it
Not
was,
necessarily for you.
I believed you. All I know is, I'm out of here.
That seems to be the theme of this episode. Deuces.
Commander Gar.
We'll never make it.
Oh, God.
No, not all of us. But there's a chance some of us will.
I like
We
her.
have to. Without the Codex, there is no point evacuating. It's the only way our people live on.
Then let's move.
All right. Glad you found your pair.
We offer him Val.
What?
He has seen not just one future, but many possible futures.
Wow.
Brainiac would spare. You are not willing to sacrifice the life of one man to save millions. What if
Not
one
just sacrifice
person-
yourself. You know a future.
How long did you stand by your father's side? Scheming and plotting as you both set about creating the city that Kandor has become. And now as it faces its reckoning, you want to flee?
Yes.
You're
Sounds
right.
about right.
This alien menace may have conquered thousands of worlds before ours, but his reign of terror ends on Krypton.
I mean, bless
He
her
has
effort,
never
really.
encountered the Sagittari.
I really don't think she's seen the absolute size of that ship. Hi, Sagittari. It's nice knowing ya. Pouring out for ya. And like fleas about his head, he just waves them aside. Here's your reality check. That smile!
We did the right thing.
Oh, he said we. How sweet of him.
Failed her. Like I have failed everybody else.
Okay, Lyta, you really need to get out of this pity fest.
Do you know the reason why?
I don't like it.
We don't have time for this.
Right? I'm so with you, sir.
Meet me at the rendezvous point.
Just go.
Do you remember where you were the day your mother died?
What?
Do you remember how
Dark.
she died?
Why are you asking me that?
Right?
Panther, Flamebird, Roken, Origus, 29718.
She's a
Initiate
clone.
Clara protocol. Just enough neural activity for consciousness fusion.
That's what they do. This is like altered carbon.
So that when a body was used up, it could be cast away like an empty shell. Its consciousness transferred into a clone.
This is exactly like altered carbon.
You don't even know if he take the deal. He might just kill you.
Is that what you're really afraid of, Father?
Ooh,
Think so.
that felt really. Damn. When your baby boy just tossed you aside.
You come here willingly and unarmed.
He's so creepy. So he can read minds. Guess that's why he's Brainiac.
Jeff, we need to hurry.
They've already been collected. I really, really hope Val has a backup plan, because I don't like this.
Is anything more than a hologram.
Oh! Can Brainiac be put in the Phantom Zone? But isn't that just his emissary? Is this a quilt? What's going on right now? Look at this selfish son of a... Oh. Okay. He has to go in?
Start believing in a better tomorrow again.
Interesting. I did not expect that. So what happened to the ship's just gonna hang there now, or like what? Oh, wow, that's just awkward. Your great-granddaddy don't like. No one likes you, Zod. Nobody likes you.
My father's sacrifice will never be forgotten.
Shut up.
Fear the scourge of terrorism.
Okay, as long as he's still alive, there's hope, I guess.
No intergalactic empire.
Oh, you're still stuck here? What the dude? For real.
Beyond our system.
So what is a Zeta beam now?
We will protection and shall never know.
Oh,
again.
was Earth collected? Is that what we're seeing right now?
States we see before.
Yeah. Dev's like, this is your son. This is your baby. You see what happens when you don't just follow the rules? Well, congratulations on creating Nazi Germany on Krypton. Oh, look who's finally upset. Okay. I hear you, Doomsday. With the bad breath and everything. Okay, well, that was the finale of Krypton, called the Phantom Zone, and now we know what's going on there, what happened. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Where to begin? I guess there's a lot going on. Obviously, they set this up to open to a season 2. I don't actually know right now if they were renewed for a season 2. Let me just use the all-powerful interwebs here and see if I can find out. Yes, they are definitely getting a season 2. So awesome. I figured they must have been, because that was way too open-ended of an ending for it to be canceled. Not that it hasn't happened in the past where a show that really should have been renewed wasn't. Firefly. But anyway, very interesting. I kind of like that things went this way. I did read, because again, I know I'm quite behind on this finale, so I made sure I stayed away from any news about it or any Twitter posts or anything like that, because I didn't want to be spoiled. But I did see a lot of people were upset about how the show ended for this season. I'm okay with it, because honestly, like, I kind of... Okay, let's just go through some of the big things that we noticed in this particular episode. First and foremost, as far as things I didn't really like, I was very sad we didn't get to see Jaina. Jaina's been such an amazing part of the show. It really sucked that she was completely gone for what went down here, but I'm okay with it because we know she's still alive. We know that, I think I'm going to go ahead with the assumption that it was her brother that rescued her from the catacombs, but it's sad that we didn't get to see or you know, get a sense of how she's feeling right now, especially after what Lyta did. Other than that, I feel like everything else kind of played out the way I kind of expected it to. Everyone sort of worked the way that I expected them to. There's a few things I think that were confirmed, because I know some people, like earlier on, a lot of folks were like, oh, Lyta and Seg, you know, like, because remember when I said I think that Zod is definitely an L and a Zod, and people were like, no, that's not possible, the Genesis Chamber, all this other stuff, but I'm like, we've never been confirmed that the only way to have babies was through the Genesis Chamber. It's just what they've chosen to do. Now, that does cause a bit of a wrinkle, I would say, because if Lyta is pregnant now and Zod is standing here, what? Like, 2 versions? That's gonna be a little bit weird, but anyway, getting into the rest of the episode, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I feel like everything kind of unfolded the way that I thought it would. I mean, bless Lyta's heart for kind of thinking that she had to try to fight in some way, but all you had to do was take a look at Brainiac's ship to see that there was no way Krypton, especially one city of Krypton, was gonna have a prayer of coming against him. Like, that ship is literally like the size of an entire, like, of half their planet, for God's sake. It's massive. No, like, no, Lyta, bless your heart, but that was just a silly, silly move. But, you know, there's also that adage that says if you gotta go out, you gotta go out fighting, right? And apparently she took that to heart. She did not want to go out just waiting for bad things to happen. Sorry, guys. Had to take a phone call. Life happened. Kind of lost my train of thought, so gonna try to bring it all back. As far as when it came to the whole, let's talk a little bit about the whole Lyta versus Nyssa situation that's been going on this season. I think this ties into why a lot of people on social media were feeling a little upset about the way that the season finale went down. What I like about the show is that there really wasn't a triangle at any real given point. I never got the sense of a triangle between Lyta and Seg and Nyssa, like, ever. It's been pretty clear to me, anyways, as a fan, that Lyta and Seg are in love with each other. Like, they love each other. They were victims of circumstance in the case of the whole caste system, and, you know, the whole secret lovers thing was kind of something that was obviously very appealing to them for a while. But what it came down to in the end was that they loved each other. And then when the whole thing started happening where, you know, Seg was going to become a Vex, and she was supposed to marry a Dev. I finally remembered his name. That's when things kind of got a little bit complicated, right? Because they really did for the longest time think they were going to have to buy into these systems. And the reality is that, you know, neither Dev or Nyssa are terrible options. Like, I wasn't sure at the beginning of the show. You didn't know much about Dev, you didn't know much about Nyssa. They're flawed characters for sure, but Dev at his heart is a very kind, supportive person. He's actually a really good, like, if you gotta be forced to marry somebody, Dev is not the worst of the pile by any stretch. And conversely, yes, Nyssa was underhanded. Yes, she was less than honest most of the time, but at her heart, seems like she is a good person. She does have a deep set of values that she wasn't willing to really compromise, even though her father was trying to steer her in that direction. And she does, you know, there are things she does care about. So, and she's also, both Dev and Nyssa are attractive. Like, neither of those two would have done terribly by marrying those two if that's what it would have come down to. When it came down to these last few episodes, though, where, you know, where Lyta and Seg were kind of diverging, I didn't really consider that to be as angsty as I think some people did. And I think the main reason for that is because Lyta has been shown since episode 1 that she very much has her own mind. She very much has her own agenda. She has her own drive. And even though she may not have seemed as overtly assertive as her mother Jaina, Lyta has no problem digging in and standing her ground when necessary. Like, she's very much a Zod, but in her own way. Seg's very bullheaded too, right? He's not one to be just swayed because Lyta wants something or Lyta says something and vice versa. And I've always enjoyed that. All the women on this show, I've said from the beginning, the show started with the very first episode showing Jaina just knocking fools out and willing to even stab her own daughter in the hand. Like, these women are strong, they're independent, they're not afraid to take charge, they're not afraid to do what they need to do. Like, it's a completely equal society in Krypton as far as women and men being considered to be as strong and badass and capable as men were. There never really was a love triangle or a love square, if you want to add Dev to the mix. It was people who were all kind of trying to deal with a very complicated situation and all who kind of developed feelings for one another. Seg cares about Nyssa, and Lyta cared about Dev, and those were completely justified and nice feelings to have. They were good people. But I think in the end, especially in this episode, we saw that despite the fact that Seg was clearly upset over the fact that Lyta chose Zod over him, and even her not necessarily being as happy with how close that Seg has become to Nyssa, beyond all the layers of the petty, they still very much, like, as soon as they thought the other might have been hurt, all bets were off. You know what I mean? We had Seg right there saying, listen, I don't care what happened, I don't care what you did, I'm just happy you're alive. And I really like that moment where, you know, where Lyta was really feeling badly about the failed attack on Brainiac. You know, he could have easily just been like, yeah, well, I told you it wasn't going to work, right? Especially considering the fact that we know he was feeling pretty salty towards her up until that point. He just said, look, it doesn't matter. You're alive. That's what matters. You did what you thought was best. You did what you were supposed to do as a Sagittari. And it was just a really great moment. And I love that the show's always been really great about both Seg and Lyta being very supportive of one another, even when the other's maybe not necessarily acting, or I guess maybe when the other might be disappointing the other in the way that they're acting, they don't ever really leave each other's back. That's the definition of a strong, healthy relationship, is when you can actually deal with the fact that the other is not perfect and that they're going to do things that aren't going to always be in alignment with you, but if the baseline of love is still there, they can always find their way back to each other. We'll come to the whole thing about what happened at the end with the Phantom Zone, but that kind of goes into the whole Nyssa, and I cannot remember the name of the female rebel leader, her telling Nyssa about the whole cloning situation, which, oh my god, completely ripped from Altered Carbon. Like, 100% ripped from Altered Carbon. And again, maybe it's the other way around, since Altered Carbon is a newer story than the whole Superman story, but I feel like they totally ripped that idea from them. The idea of endless clones of the elite, the rich, and then the consciousness being able to be transferred into these bodies, so basically the sense of immortality happens, right? Why she told Nyssa Vex this is very, I don't get it. I'm not sure why, but maybe she needs allies. I guess she realizes that if Krypton's gonna continue, or even Kandor at that matter, she needs to have allies, I guess, that aren't just her rebel people. But also very interesting to find out that Nyssa was a clone. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it sounded like she was cloned at such a young age that it's, you know what I mean? It's not like the other Nyssa lived a whole other life before she was cloned, but very interesting. And I do wonder, I guess her father must have known. And that might have been actually, now that I think on it, this may have been why Daron was so willing to kill her. Like, I still think he's a spineless worm and he deserves everything. Like, if he actually is dead out there in the Harshlands, he deserves it. But I think that would explain why he was so able to kill her, because if he knew that he could just clone her again, that solves the problem. So anyway, and I guess that explains why the whole what did she call it? The Codex thing was so important. I'm trying to figure out how it's going to play into season 2. I'm still not 100% sure. I mean, maybe they're going to clone somebody else. Who that would be, I'm not sure. But very interesting that she decided to bring Nyssa into that. Very interesting also that Nyssa was so attached to the idea of keeping her child. And is this child going to factor in the future? I keep wondering, because I don't remember, I'm not a comic book reader, but to my knowledge, there's no character called Corvex out there. But maybe I'm wrong. But all of that aside, let's get into this whole, what actually happened with the Phantom Zone. Finally seeing what happened to Adam. I do think that what happened with Adam was kind of, I feel like the show really shouldn't have left that as dangly as they did. His character, since the beginning, Adam's character's kind of been a weak character as far as the show is concerned. And then again, here he is trapped on Earth is my assumption. And again, this could be feeding into next season. This is my hope, is that we saw this because we're going to see Adam feeding into a much stronger role potentially in season 2. But just the fact that he was basically absent for this entire episode, he didn't even have a line. Like, we saw him for what, maybe 30 seconds, but he didn't have a line in that entire time. So just kind of disappointing that if you bring in this character who's supposed to start this chain of events that's so important, I would have liked to see and get to know him a little bit more than in one whole episode out of 10. All the stuff with General Zod, and then the whole thing that, that Val-El had been alive this entire time, that he'd been in the Phantom Zone, I'm okay with that. That made a lot more sense to me, because I was like, okay, you're trying to tell me that Grandpa A, survived that fall, and B, lived out in the freezing cold for the last 14 years. I mean, homie looked like he was getting pretty old back then. Like, I'd be really shocked if he was still alive. But the Phantom Zone makes perfect sense. Very interesting to find out that Zod was in the Phantom Zone, and this is how he knew what happened. Like, I was kind of wondering, how did Zod even know about Brainiac? This would have happened before Zod was even born, but now it all makes sense. Trapped in the Phantom Zone with his great-grandfather, and he steals the only way out of the Phantom Zone, which makes sense, because in the movies, and I don't know if it's the same in the comics, but in the movies, the way that Zod escapes is because the Phantom Zone's actually destroyed. I'm kind of on the fence as far as with Zod is concerned. Like, I have to give him props on the one hand because he has not lied. Like, from the second Zod came on the scene, from what we've seen, he's been 100% honest. Honest about what he's done, about who he is, about where he came from, about what his mission is. And I feel like that's almost why Lyta was so able to just throw her trust behind him, because he was 100% honest. Like, he wasn't even trying to hide the nastier parts of himself. Even at the end when he's talking to Seg, and Seg's like, you're not going to sacrifice your own great-grandfather, are you? And he's like, yeah. He's like, dude, what part of what you've seen of me since you've met me says to you that I would not do that? Just seeing that whole dynamic play out, and, I think it's so interesting how they showed how Lyta just kind of, out of her own issues with her mom, gravitated to trying to be with this son of hers, and kind of you can see she was in a way kind of hoping to maybe nurture him or just be connected to him, because she had such a strained relationship with her mother. Then you have Seg, who had 2 really good parents, from what we know, and that he had a really good relationship with them, and yet he has no desire. Like, as soon as he found out that Zod was his kid, he was just like, okay, but I don't know if I really like you. He made no attempts whatsoever to kind of bond with this child. I do wonder going into season 2 just how loyal she plans on remaining. I mean, we all know this could have been ended. Sadly, Adam was right. Zod should have been killed. Like, they should have just killed Zod. The downside is that they would never have known about Val being in the Phantom Zone. So this is a question. This is honestly a question, because I'm not exactly sure how Brainiac works. I thought Brainiac was part of his ship. Like, I thought the ship was Brainiac, and that the emissaries were just like parts of his consciousness that he sent out. But from the looks of things, that was Zod. That was Brainiac. Like, in the fortress, what got sucked into the Phantom Zone was actually Zod. My God, sorry, the names are all over. Sorry, guys. Was that little green man actually Brainiac, and then the ship is like a separate entity? But I'm thinking with how powerful Brainiac is, I just have a hard time believing the Phantom Zone is going to keep him. And then of course, Seg being sucked in, I know this is what a lot of people were really upset with, was like, what? How could the show let Seg be taken into the Phantom Zone. Well, first of all, we already know the Phantom Zone does not equal death, and it's also time and space independent. I'm okay with Seg going in there. I thought it was a very interesting twist because we saw that the reason that Seg even let go was because he saw that the cape restored and that his grandson was going to survive, or so he thought. What he didn't have a chance to see, though, is once he was absorbed into the Phantom Zone, that the crest, it was no longer House L, it was House Zod. Does that mean Superman still does come to be? Which I don't know how that's going to be possible because, sorry, brain just kicked in. Is it possible that Corvex is actually going to become Jor-El? Right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. At this point, clearly something has to be changed. We do know that as it stands, what Adam said has to happen. Krypton has to be destroyed. Whether or not it's through Brainiac is, I don't know, but we do know Krypton has to be destroyed in order for Superman to happen. I guess the big question is what is going to have to happen to get A, Seg out of the Phantom Zone, and B, to get Zod not only off the seat of Kandor, but out of this timeline entirely. I'm still trying to figure out where Adam is. My guess is that he is in a new future where Earth has been collected from the looks of things, because it looks like Earth. There's cars, there was buildings, billboards, everything that looked like Earth. But as we saw, they were all in the collected state. So my guess is that Adam shot himself into the future, and this is the future, I guess, where Zod did what he did and everything happened and Krypton survived, but now Earth's been collected. So there's going to be a lot going on in season 2, which I think is going to be pretty cool. I feel like they're going to be able to maybe up the ante a little bit. Overall, I feel like this season was good. I think it was a great way to do a prequel to Superman. You know, it's very clear that this show did not have a huge budget, but I feel like what they did have, they used very, very well. Of course, a show like this would not have gone as well without a really, really good, strong cast behind it and some really good writing. So I think it's great. I'm really happy that there is going to be a season 2. I look forward to seeing it. It's been fun to watch this season. I'd say the only, point of the season that I wasn't a fan of is there were times where the pacing did feel a little bit off. I do feel like they could have moved certain storylines ahead a little bit further and given Adam a little bit more character development, but overall I think it was really good. I do really look forward to seeing what's going to happen in season 2. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this season along with me, guys. What did you guys think of this season? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you looking forward to season 2? And if you have any theories or any predictions for what might go down next season, please leave them below. So thank you so much for watching along with me this season, guys. If you like this video, please click like, and if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya!